So let's talk about interest rates here, where, Amanda, you remember the noise before the election. Well, here we go. 4 times this year, inflation at 32%. It's only going to get worse, apparently, till 2024. Yet if you ask any questions about this, please don't talk about it, because we're playing silly buggers rugby and we want the media to focus on that, of which they did today.
Look, Labor's lucky they're in a honeymoon period, because when so many people are struggling with the cost of living, this stuff is going to wear pretty thin. They promised Australians prior to the last election that they would tackle inflation, and they threw pot shots at everything the coalition was doing to try and make sure that the forces that were driving it were balanced out. Instead of doing what they said they would, they are getting rid of the Australian Building and Construction Commission, and so you can expect the cost of construction to fly through the roof. They're getting rid of any kind of downward pressure on energy, and in fact they're pushing it up with their emissions reduction targets. They're not serious about the cost of living. They're serious about an ideological war, and they're happy to treat people in our suburbs and people who are poorer with impunity.
Yeah, this is it. I mean, Holly, again, you know some of those people, of course, in the eastern suburbs who they don't have to worry about cost of living. You know the Canberra bubble, inside the Canberra bubble, they don't want to talk about this stuff. But when things are as worse as they have been in inflation in 32 years, when interest rates have gone up for the 4th time this year, 3 times in the 3 months of this government, people are noticing. They don't care about the charity football. They don't care about the cutesy game between the sports minister and the Prime Minister. They don't care about the Tiffany Teals and the politics has changed forever. Their expectation is the people in charge of our economy will actually try to do something for the people who have to pay.
And one of the things that we are looking to hope to continue is the petrol excise cut, because one of the things that's driving inflation at the moment is the supply chain issues. So as soon as that excise cut disappears, you are going to see a significant increase in petrol prices. So every single piece of food that moves around to each supermarket from where it's produced, every tradie driving around that's going to go and, you know, fix your plumbing or whatever's required, they are all going to have to put up prices because of the increased petrol costs. So these inflationary pressures are just going to continue, which is going to continue to hurt everyday Australians and their family budget. There are plenty of people in Wentworth who don't have to look at those numbers ticking over on the petrol bowser, but there are plenty of families at the moment who are making decisions about their kids not even being able to play sport because the budget for petrol each week in the family budget no longer stretches for those drives to training and drives to the game, particularly in some of those regional areas where it might be a little bit further than down the road in Vaucluse. So there are significant pressures on families. It's making a significant difference to their life, but this government just doesn't seem to want to acknowledge it. They're more interested in looking backwards, not giving us any idea what they're planning to do in the future.
Yeah, correct. Interviews on CNN and soft talk about charity football games. Fair dinkum. That was the fiddling while inflation burns right now. For his part, Peter Dutton, laser-like focus on normal people.
And it's going to get tougher under this government. I think Australians are starting to realise that not all of the problems, of course, particularly of the international making, are the problem of this government. But we do know from the opening months of this government already that they don't have a plan and they don't have a way forward for the Australian public. And it's clear to all of us that Labor doesn't know which levers to pull on the economy and that they are going to make a bad situation worse.
Then there's the glass you're carrying on today from Albo when you dare get asked about a broken promise.
In April, when you were caught not knowing the cash rate, you said, "I made a mistake. I'm human. When I make a mistake, I'll fess up to it, and I'll set about correcting that mistake. I won't blame someone else. I'll accept responsibility. That's what leaders do." End quote. Prime Minister, given you've dumped your promise to cut power bills by $275, will you fess up and correct your mistake?
I don't seek to have a point of order on irony to rule it out, given the record of the Deputy Leader of the Opposition, who made a bit of a mistake that led to her resignation from the front bench of the Liberal Party.
Order.
But now she's back.
Order.
Now
Members
she's back.
on my left.
Now she's back.
Order.
Nick, your bloke's got a glass jaw. He apparently had a plan, but the plan has resulted in 3 more interest rate rises and the highest inflation in 32 years. What a great start.
Oh, come on, Paul. People aren't mugs. They know interest rates aren't going up because of the Albanese government. All these cost of pressures, they know they're not caused by the Albanese government. They're caused by factors outside of Australia or because of the years of denial and delay of the Morrison government. I mean, the bigger debate here is the fact that the Reserve Bank of Australia said interest rates weren't going up to 2024 and they've gone up 4 times since. And the other, I think, more substantive debating point, which no one seems to be talking about, is that we're lifting interest rates because we're trying to tackle inflation. And when you lift interest rates, the economic theory goes that you dampen demand and that causes prices to come down. But the problem is prices aren't going up at the moment because of excessive demand. They're going up because of international factors and supply factors. You know, petrol prices are up because of a war in Ukraine. Material costs are up because ports are jammed in China.
Why are power prices going up?
Because of problems.
No, I'd love to know why power prices are going up.
Hang on, don't get distracted. The point is that interest rates going up do not fix any of those problems that are causing the cost of living pressures. This is a serious debate.
Yeah, Holly, all cyclical, now. All personal before the election, all cyclical now.
Oh, yeah, no, absolutely. The war in Ukraine was having no impact before the last election, and now all of a sudden it's the cause of all woes. These guys are unbelievable. We knew before the election they had a plan for a plan. Right. At the moment, you know, we had a bit of a laugh in the Senate yesterday when we think they might have been emulating the West Wing, that they've got a secret plan to fight inflation as they, you know, try and channel Josh Lyman, because they certainly don't have any ideas of their own. I mean, it's just extraordinary. These are very serious times with families very much facing pressures, and all they can do is carry on with this hypocrisy and personal smears because they have no idea what they're doing.